Hi everyone. So we're back. Yesterday I talked about self-esteem, what to do when your child calls themselves stupid, when they think they're dumb, when they think they're bad, they feel like they're that kid, and how heartbreaking that can be as a parent. I ruffled some feathers yesterday, maybe a little bit, and I think I might today as well, but bear with me. So today we're going to talk about growth mindset and how important that is to teach to your child. It's important for all children, even adults. A lot of us ourselves don't have growth mindset in a lot of areas. So I want to explain what that is first of all. So growth mindset is the understanding that you can learn something new or overcome a challenge, that just because you've failed at something does not mean it's permanent. To just people of growth mindset understand, okay, where did it not go well, and what can I do? It's not permanent. It's not the end of the road. Whereas people who have a fixed mindset, think, well, I failed. I guess I'm not cut out for that. That's not my thing. And we all have that to some degree in certain areas. Like some of us might be like, I'm terrible at math. I'll never learn it. Oh my God. Which truthfully, I get, like, I'm not good at math. But that's not entirely true. It's my weak spot. And if I really cared and wanted to be like amazing at math, I totally know I could, but I just don't have the interest or the need to invest a ton of energy in learning, to do math at this point in my life because I don't need it. But there was a time when I had a fixed mindset, and, it prevented me from even pursuing certain potential career paths that I was interested in at the time, because I believed, well, I would need to do so much math for that. No way, I'm not going to do that. And so it's really important to understand this, because kids with learning disabilities tend to have a very fixed mindset. They tend to believe that I'm not good at reading, I'm not good at this, maybe they have dyscalculia, I'm not good at math. And they don't believe it's something they can change. They believe it's permanent. And when they encounter a failure, it's just further proof that I'm terrible at that, instead of, I didn't do very good at that. What can I do to do better next time? And what was studied with growth mindset and all the research that's come out of it is that people who are successful don't tend, even like amazing athletes, even actresses, really amazing, successful people. It's not that they truly had what we call a talent. It's not that they necessarily had a genius. It is that they busted their butt. They really, really tried. They put the effort in, and they had a growth mindset. They kept saying, how can I improve? They evaluated, they analyzed, and so forth. And that's where you hear of these stories of the dyslexic, who works for NASA, or, the person who struggled with something, terribly, and now they're like have a PhD in something because they had a growth mindset. And there are tons of people who have geniuses in certain areas who have a fixed mindset. And so it holds them back from their full potential. So with reference to teaching your child about a growth mindset, you just want to make them aware that it's about effort, it's about persistence, it's about what we call grit, like just sticking with it whenever it gets really hard, and understanding what is called the learning dip. So that learning is hard. Like I was telling this years ago whenever I was still teaching full time, and I had students who would think they're stupid, and I'd be like, look, I'm doing two things right now. I'm learning to play guitar, and I'm learning how to knit. And sometimes I just want to like take the knitting needles and break them in half, and sometimes I want to take the guitar and smash it because like I'm just so frustrated. And that's when I know I need to walk away and take a break and come back to it when I'm calmer and get back at it, because I'm in a learning dip. And, like for guitar, I would tell them like the F chord is called the F chord for a reason. It's hard to get. And it took a while. It had to work through that challenge. And if you are someone who's aware of this is just common knowledge. But for a lot of kids, this challenge, this learning dip they encounter when the going gets tough, that's where they tend to stop, give up, shut down, and where they tend to see it just as a confirmation. I'm dumb. This is further proof I'm dumb, because maybe there is another kid who's able to do it, like, no problem. There's always that, odd kid who just picks it up like that. And these kids are notorious for always comparing themselves to that kid and not realizing, like, maybe the other kid, like Lucy, who's getting B+, is really busting her butt at home. And sure, she might not have a learning disability, but it's not coming super easy to her either. She's still experiencing the normal and natural struggle that can, or frustration that can come with learning a new concept or skill or whatever it might be. So yeah, just really talk to your child about growth mindset. There's tons of great books on it for kids. There's videos and so forth. So I encourage you to like check that out, and you would be shocked at the difference that can make. And that being said, I'm going to get into the next part, to stop calling your kid smart. So I know you might be like, what? That's what they need to hear. First of all, chances are they don't believe you anyway, because if they did, they wouldn't still have the low self-esteem and low self-confidence that they're dealing with. So let me suggest a different approach, and let me give you a little bit of the background on where my, not even thinking, where the research from that is coming from. So research found with relation to growth mindset and calling your kid smart, that in fact, overpraise tends to have the opposite result than we want to have in children. Overpraise, first of all, tends to result in children relying on external motivation or external factors to motivate them. So instead of doing it because they want to succeed or they feel good about themselves when they do, they're looking for the praise. And also, when we overpraise and when we call kids smart, a weird thing happens, and parents tell me this all the time, where kids stop trying, or they kind of start to shut down the minute they encounter a challenge. Why would that be? Because they start becoming perfectionistic. They think, okay, I'm smart. I don't want to try anything where I'm going to lose that label or suddenly prove to mom and dad or the teacher or whomever that I'm not smart. So in order to keep that label of they think I'm so smart, I'm just going to like pretend that I don't want to do this, or whatever the case may be. So it tends to actually have the reverse effect. The other thing that happens whenever we call our kids smart all the time is they tend to just shut down and become perfectionistic, and they know they're going to get the praise. They know they're going to get the praise, and they know they're going to get the praise from you if you're overpraising, no matter what you do, or no matter what they do. Sorry. So what was found in the research is that parents who overpraise their children, I did this. I was terrible for this when my daughter was younger, and I definitely felt the ramifications of that. Every little piece of art, oh my God, that's so amazing, it's so beautiful. And so they just think, well, no matter what mommy and daddy said, like no matter what I do, mommy and daddy are going to think whatever I'm doing is amazing. And so what they found in the research is that these children stopped putting in as much effort because they knew they were going to get the praise anyway. Sometimes they would just do a drawing so that they could get that praise. And we've all seen that, where kids are like, do a doodle, and you're like, oh yeah, that's really good. And it's really not that good. And what they found is that parents who did not praise, but they used their praise genuinely and strategically, actually didn't have any of these problems. Their kids continued to try. They had intrinsic motivation. They were more willing to take academic risks. And they were more likely to try harder and produce better work, or whatever the case may be, right? Like not just always academics, whether it's cleaning their room or whatever, because they knew that they weren't just going to get the praise for doing something that's very mediocre. The other thing that happens whenever you tell your child, or not tell your child, but whenever you overpraise your child, is they start to not trust you. As strange as that might sound. They found that kids whose parents always praised them for every little thing they did and thought everything they did was wonderful no matter what, they didn't feel that they knew their parents loved them, but they felt, well, of course they're going to say this. And we've all had that. Maybe you had that even as a teenager, where your mother or father would say, of course you're, beautiful or smart or whatever. And you'd be like, yeah, whatever. Of course you're going to say that. You're my mom. Right? So if we want our children to trust our words and our compliments, we need to show them that we're going to be genuine with them and not just hand them out like candy. And so I just want to quickly end by telling you about my own daughter, who I didn't really believe this whole thing of don't tell your kid they're smart. I thought that's ridiculous. Like, I want my daughter to know she's smart. I heard this early on in my teaching career, and I told her she was smart all the time. And exactly what they said would happen happened. All of a sudden, she would like shut down when reading a story if she started encountering something really challenging, and she became really perfectionistic and really hard on herself. And perfectionism, let's be clear, is not a gift. It prevents us from succeeding because we don't try, right? If we think, or we procrastinate until like forever because we don't want to encounter that failure. And that feeling of, I'm not good enough and so forth, or I fail, or I've disappointed someone. And so exactly what happened. And so what I had to do instead was exactly what I had read to do, and that is to focus on the effort, to focus on the skills they bring. So instead of saying, you're so smart, you know, when they've read a book, say things like, man, I love the way like those words are really hard to sound out. I could tell you are really struggling and you kept at it. You didn't give up. Or I love how you're taking your time drawing that picture. You're not just doing it to get it over with. You're really making sure you're coloring in the lines. You can do this with anything where you're focusing, and it takes a bit of practice to learn how to build that language. But, you know, I love how you're problem solving. Like my daughter, when she was starting to build blocks and I was trying to overcome the you're so smart, or she's building Legos, I would say, wow, I know you really want to build the Legos like it is on the box. And I said, I love how you were getting frustrated, but you problem solved and you realized, no, if I add this in and so forth. And it's amazing because then all of a sudden I didn't have issues with her being afraid of a failure or a challenge. And I very rarely, every now and then I'll say things like, you're so clever, whatever, the very odd time. But for the most part, I'm always saying and focusing on the skill, or mostly on the effort, on what they're doing to be successful at what they're doing. So if they wrote an amazing story, don't just say, oh my God, you're so smart, that's an amazing story. Say, I love the detail, the characters came to life, that was so creative how you thought of this. Really talk about what they did, and then that actually helps them to understand how they can be successful again. You know, and it just seems like a more genuine compliment. So growth mindset, stop calling your kids smart, give them some real compliments, and don't overdo it. Be genuine about it. Thanks for watching.